Jose, thank you so much for joining us here on Impact.
Thank you.
So you're running for Commission Seat 4.
Yes.
Which is the seat that was vacated by the late Manolo Reyes. For many people who don't know who you are, and perhaps they don't know your last name, Regalado, it's a popular last name. Your father was former city mayor. He's now property appraiser for the county. Your sister is county commissioner. There's a long line of service that comes with your family. But why did you take the plunge now for this seat?
I was a city employee. I was a civil servant. I actually started working under Commissioner Manolo Reyes as his policy advisor, and then in the city manager's office as a chief of staff, then as an assistant director in the building department. For the past 8 years, I've been a civil servant. I've responded to hurricanes, post-disaster. I've been in unsafe structures. I've been boots on the ground, as well as knowing what happens with policy and the operations of the city. So on my birthday, Chacha Reyes, Manolo's widow, reached out to me and asked me to consider running for the seat, and the service that is tied to being working in the city and actually moving forward, and that was one of the reasons that I jumped in.
And as a result of that meeting, she endorsed you for the position of her late husband. That carries a lot of weight. How would you differentiate yourself from him? You said you worked with him as well, but how would you differentiate, or would you continue the policies of Manolo Reyes?
I would continue his legacy. That was one of the things. Manolo was very close to me. He was, for many years, he was like a second father figure for me. Different than my dad, but very similar in the way that he treated public service. He was a former employee as well in the city of Miami, and that was one of the guiding principles that moved him forward. So I would like to maintain the same programs, maintain the same staff that have connections with the residents in the city, and push forward his policies as well as my own policies, which is really focused on what will Miami look like tomorrow.
Well, speaking of which, climate change has always been an issue for you. Why has that been so important?
I was a documentarian, and I fought and I recognized the issues that were happening for cities that were not prepared, for regions that were not prepared for climate change. So Miami Forever was one of the big issues that I championed and I fought for, and in that I met Manolo Reyes again because he always knew me as a kid, and he saw me as a policy person, and he asked me to help him move policy forward. So we pushed a lot of new affordable housing protections, a lot of new protections for the elderly, policies for historic properties, and those were one of the things.
And you actually are extremely familiar with District 4 because not only were you raised in the community, you still live in the house that you were raised in.
Yes, the neighbors saw me grow up, and the neighbors of every neighborhood. So I know intimately Flagami, Silver Bluff, Arbondale, West Flagler, Shenandoah, Golden Pines. These are all neighborhoods that I played in their parks. I learned how to swim at Shenandoah Pool, and I am committed to being a lifelong resident of District 4.
So what do you think needs the most help at this point?
The most help is flooding. Although there's a lot of improvements, Manolo did so much for the community. He created new parks, which is a huge accomplishment, and I hope to do myself. He also improved all the old parks. He redid them. He also put in a bunch of new pump stations and new infrastructure. But you need constant investment for these things due to climate change. So Flagami, the neighborhood itself, was dug out of the Everglades, and Silver Bluff, that neighborhood, also has natural drainage fields. And these are things that I know the specifics of, and I want to make sure that those improvements will maintain for Miami 50 years from now.
We wish you good luck. The special election is June 3rd.
Thank you so much.